Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Ragsdale-Brabham, and I'm so excited to share my research project with you today. For my proposed action research project, I would like to explore the question, what effect does multisensory instruction have on students' accuracy and fluency in identifying letter names and sounds? This project comes directly from my own kindergarten classroom and from watching students who are capable, curious, and eager to learn, but who also struggle when instruction relies heavily on sitting still, listening, and strictly working on paper. I'm interested in studying how instruction that engages movement, touch, and multiple senses might change early literacy outcomes for those students. Why this matters. So, early literacy skills, particularly letter name and letter sound knowledge, are foundational to everything that comes next in reading. When students struggle in this area, the impact is not just academic. It affects confidence, engagement, and how students begin to see themselves as learners in all areas. In my classroom, I've noticed that traditional instructional approaches don't work equally well for all students. Some children need to move, touch, and actively engage with learning in order to truly access it. This proposed study is my attempt to better understand how instruction can be adapted to meet those needs instead of expecting students to adapt to instruction that isn't working for them. The guiding question for this proposed research is, what effect does multisensory instruction have on students' accuracy and fluency in identifying letter names and sounds? I intentionally focused on both accuracy and fluency because students need more than just correct answers. They need to be able to retrieve information efficiently and with confidence in order to become successful readers. This question allows me to examine not just whether students know their letters, but how easily and with how much automaticity can they access that knowledge. Why multisensory learning? So multisensory instruction engages more than one sensory pathway at a time. This includes visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic input. Instead of only seeing and hearing letters, students are also moving, touching, and physically interacting with them. From my experience in kindergarten, these approaches naturally increase engagement and reduce frustration. Students who may struggle with traditional instruction often thrive when learning becomes active rather than passive. This project would allow me to intentionally study those observations rather than relying on anecdotal evidence alone. What does the research say? So the research strongly supports multisensory approaches in early literacy instruction. Structured literacy frameworks and Orton-Gillingham-based practices emphasize the importance of engaging multiple sensory pathways to strengthen memory and retention. What really stands out in the literature is that multisensory instruction benefits not only students with identified learning disabilities, but all learners. This research base provides a strong foundation for proposing a classroom-based study that examines how these practices function in an authentic educational setting. This proposed action research would take place in my kindergarten classroom, which is in a general education setting. The participants would represent a range of learning needs and abilities, reflecting the diversity present in most early elementary classrooms. Conducting the study in a real classroom context is important to me because it allows the findings to be immediately relevant and applicable to everyday teaching practice. Ethical considerations would remain central, and all instructional strategies used would support student learning rather than replace effective instruction. The proposed intervention would include a variety of multisensory strategies such as skywriting, sand tray letter formation, movement-based letter practice, verbal rehearsal, and the use of tactile materials. These strategies are designed to give students multiple ways to interact with letters and sounds. Rather than relying on a single method, this approach honors different learning styles and provides students with repeated, meaningful exposure to foundational literacy skills. Data would be collected through benchmark assessments like DIBELS, which we use at our school, that assesses letter name and letter sounds, focuses on both accuracy and fluency. Additional data would include observational notes related to student engagement and confidence during instruction. This combination of quantitative and qualitative data would allow me to examine not only skill growth, but also how students respond emotionally and behaviorally to multisensory instruction. This proposed study matters because early literacy gaps tend to widen over time if they are not addressed intentionally. By examining multisensory instruction in the early grades, this research has the potential to inform instructional decisions before students experience repeated failure. Early intervention is key. This project also supports inclusive teaching practices by emphasizing instructional design that benefits all learners rather than relying on remediation after students fall behind. If implemented, this research could provide valuable insight into how multisensory instruction supports early literacy development in real-life classrooms. The findings could help teachers make informed instructional choices and encourage schools to view multisensory strategies as a core component of early literacy instruction rather than an add-on. Ultimately, this project aims to bridge research and practice in a way that supports student success and empowers teachers. As educators, we are constantly balancing research, curriculum demands, and the individual needs of our own students. This proposed action research project represents my commitment to teaching that is reflective, responsive, and grounded in evidence. I invite you to consider how multisensory instruction might impact learners in your own context. How might changing the way we teach create more equitable outcomes for students who struggle with traditional approaches? Thank you so much for listening to my proposal for my action research project. I hope you feel inspired to incorporate multisensory learning in your own practice, and here are my references.